Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you not from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton City, but from Red Stick Sports on Essen, their 44th annual sidewalk sale. We are fired up to be here for it. And fired up for the next couple of hours, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We got tons and tons to do before 3 o'clock when we get out of here for good. Preston Guy talking LSU football in 15 minutes. Got to talk a little bit of Saints in hour number 2. We got a Final Four to get ready for as well. LSU basketball in the transfer portal. We're going to speak about that. I told you that there was something LSU needed. I think they may have helped get it yesterday. So lots and lots to do over the next 2 hours. So lock us in right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We start this same way every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Holy cow, was last night any good by Cade Anderson. Unbelievable performance by the LSU ace. Tigers go up to Norman, Oklahoma. It's Anderson against Witherspoon, and Cade Anderson twirls the game of his college career to this point. A complete game shutout of a top 10 team on the road against what's likely a top 15 pick. And if we're being candid about it, Cade Anderson worked his way toward being a top 15 pick last night with the work that he put in. I don't think there is anything, when you look at the stat line, when you watch the game, when you pour over every single ounce of what went on in that ballpark last night, there is nothing to me more impressive than this. In the first inning, Oklahoma had a pair of singles and a walk with one out. The bases loaded. Cade Anderson goes strikeout, strikeout. In the third inning, Anderson issues a walk and then a single into right field. 2 men on, 2 out. Strikeout. In the sixth inning, leadoff double. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Oklahoma put runners in scoring position 3 different times. They had 6 at-bats with runners in scoring position in the game. They went 0 for 6 with 6 strikeouts. That is an ace who's got complete command of his entire arsenal of pitches and takes control of the ball game and never lets up. Yes, it was a great night to pitch in Norman last night. It was cold. The wind was howling in. I got you. That doesn't mean that it's easy to strike out 14 guys. That doesn't mean that when the situation becomes the most stressful, that it's easy to just revert back to exactly what you do and get 6 punch-outs. LSU did not have a proven ace coming into this season. And Cade Anderson has cemented his spot atop the rotation, and quite frankly, over the course of 4 weeks of SEC play, has cemented himself among the top pitchers in college baseball. That doesn't mean Cade Anderson is going to throw 3 more complete game shutouts and strike out 14 every weekend. He's not Paul Skeens. But Cade Anderson's going to give LSU a chance against some real dudes. And he did last night. Because let me tell you, Kyson Witherspoon is legit. That fastball is 96, 97. That slider is sharp. He didn't falter with his command at all in the game last night. I mean, you look at Witherspoon's line, 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He was rock solid. And if you watch the game, his stuff was great. But he struck out Curiel to open the game. He struck out Jones in the next plate appearance. And then he went on to face 23 more hitters for LSU, and he only struck out 2 of them. That's a lineup that was fighting and scrapping and clawing every bit they could on, like I just said, was a really tough day to hit, great day to pitch against one of the best pitchers in the nation. You put him in a bucket with Jamie Arnold at Florida State, with Liam Doyle at Tennessee, now with Cade Anderson at LSU, got Tyler Bremner at UC Santa Barbara. Like, yeah, I mean, there are a few, but Kyson Witherspoon is in that discussion. And LSU battled him. And when they got an opportunity to do something, they did it. In the third inning, they pushed their first run across. Just an incredible swing by Derek Curiel on a ball up and out of the plate to drive it the other way for a double. Then Jared Jones works a 3-2 count. He gets, I don't know if you want to call that a slider or a cutter, whatever. It's hard, and it's breaking away from him. And with 2 strikes, he goes the other way and drives the ball into right field. Y'all remember Jared Jones 2 years ago, swinging over the top of breaking balls, chasing pitches with 2 strikes? Not this dude. Best pitcher maybe in the country. Throws him a really quality 3-2 pitch. RBI single the other way. Huge hit by Jones there. Then in the 5th, you get another opportunity. Luis Hernandez pumps a double into the right center field gap. Great swing. Tanner Reeves gets the bunt down. And then Chris Stanfield shoots the ball the other way really hard down the first base line in there for an RBI double. And what was the count when when Stanfield did that? 0-2. He falls behind 0-2, fouls a pitch off, then gets one on the inner half, muscles it the other way. I thought it was a brilliant swing. So you had really 2 opportunities to that point to score, and you did it both times. Now in the 7th, Hernandez doubles to chase Witherspoon, again on a 2-strike pitch. Drives it into the left field corner. Braswell pinch hits. He gets the bunt down. And then Chris Stanfield missed a sign. Can't happen. Can't miss signs. It's a third-year college player. I don't care if you're a first-year college player. You can't miss signs. And how do I know he missed a sign? Because Luis Hernandez, after he got thrown out on what was supposed to be a suicide squeeze, Jay Johnson's welcoming him back to the dugout, says, good job. If Hernandez missed a sign, I don't think Jay Johnson's telling him good job. It was obvious that Stanfield had missed that sign. But it didn't matter because Anderson was that good. And that's a huge, huge thing for this LSU team because we know some things about this team right now. We know them. We know that LSU offensively is putting up numbers as good as anybody in college baseball when you talk about the balance of the lineup. Top to bottom, not striking out, doubles, slugging, home runs. They can sacrifice bunt when they need to. They've got a little bit of speed and athleticism. Like, they're a complete offense. So they the home run machine that Tennessee was 3 years ago or was last year? No, they're not the gorilla ball team of 1997, 1998. But in terms of being a complete offense, from the competition that LSU has seen to this point, they're as good as anybody offensively 1-9. We know their defense is excellent. Milam's been great. Dickinson's been excellent at second base. You haven't really had the issues at third base that you thought you may have after 3 weeks. Catching has cleaned up significantly since the first 2 weeks. You've got an elite center fielder in Stanfield. I like the way that Curiel plays defense in left field. He's made some great plays. Jake Brown has his issues here and there, but overall your defense is good. And now you're seeing LSU flex its muscles from a starting pitching perspective in a couple of different games. Here's what I'm talking about. You face a really nice ace over in Austin, Texas. And Cade Anderson outduels him, beats him. LSU controlled that game start to finish, no doubt. Last weekend, Pico Khan comes in, another left-handed ace, potential first-round pick, big strikeout guy. Einson outdueled him. Einson, and then you turned the ball over to Case and Evans, and they were better than Pico Khan. And you won a 2-1 game. And then last night, you face one of the best aces in the country, and Cade Anderson outduels him. Oh, by the way, go back to Game 3 of the Mississippi State Series last week. You scored 9 runs in the first inning and just bludgeoned them. You're able to win games a multitude of different ways if you're LSU right now. That is the sign of a championship caliber team. I didn't say LSU's a lock for Omaha. I didn't say they're the national championship favorite. These are the signs of a championship-level team. Last year, at this point in the calendar, LSU had exactly one way to win a baseball game. You needed Luke Holman to go 6 or 7. You needed Griffin Herring to go 2 or 3. and you needed to score 5 or 6 runs. That's the only way LSU could win. They couldn't win on Saturdays. They were getting crushed and run-ruled on Sundays. They weren't winning 1-0 games. They weren't slugging, and they weren't complete enough on offense to win 15-13. They needed Holman and Herring. That was it. That's all they could do through half of SEC play. Then eventually Gage Jump figured it out, and eventually you got Ashton Larson into the lineup, and he started producing a little bit. You got Stephen Milam into the lineup. He started producing a little bit. You got some better outings from Christian Little and Nate Ackenhouse and a couple of guys. But you had one roadmap to success at this point last year. I'm looking at this LSU team. They can beat you just about any way you want to get beat. Need an ace to go out there and dominate? Awesome. Anderson's done it 2 times in 3 league series, and you saw Ianson do it last week. Need the bullpen to come in and slam the door for 3 innings, 4 innings? Boom, they got it done. Need the guys to come out and bash the baseball around? Absolutely. And even to the point where they've beaten 2 different aces 2 different weeks in different ways. They hit 2 home runs off Pico Khan last week. You couldn't hit a home run there last night. So what'd they do? Lead off double, sack bunt, get a squeeze. Well, they didn't get the squeeze bunt down. Shoot the double down the right field line. Get a clutch 2-strike hit with Jared Jones. That's completely different than bashing it off the scoreboard against Khan. I love the fact that LSU is showing different ways to win baseball games. And last night, complete tip of the cap to Cade Anderson. My favorite thing about Anderson's outing last night was how many times he was able to win with his fastball. That's the sign of a great pitcher. Because what you always hear in kind of cliche analysis of the game, you got to hunt the fastball. Got to hit the fastball. Got to hit mistakes. Got to get in advantage counts so you can get a fastball and drive it. And last night, Cade Anderson was throwing a lot of fastballs. Now, he commanded the breaking ball, and the changeup was great. No argument about that at all. But he was beating them with his fastball, both up in the zone and on the outside corner consistently, and that just means you've got him in a chokehold. And to me, Cade Anderson had him in a chokehold last night, and he never let up. It's important for me to lead with that, because we'll talk about pitch count later. Those that follow me on Twitter, read my story, know my feelings on it. We'll get into it a little bit later. But the key in the story from last night, your ace stepped up. You beat another ace, the 3rd time you've done that in 3 weeks. And right now, LSU is just a really, really good baseball team that's really hard to beat. How do you beat these guys? It's tough. And Oklahoma did not have the secret sauce last night. One of the best pitchers in college baseball on the mound. That's our Genesis opening drive. We're here at Red Stick Sports, here for the 44th annual sidewalk sale. Big tent out there out front, and we're excited to be here. I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go to break. We'll come back with Preston Guy talking some LSU football next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Mentioned it. We're here at Red Stick Sports for their annual sidewalk sale. Listen to some of these deals. I've walked around the store. They're incredible. All Adidas and Under Armour workout apparel, 50% off. Under Armour basketball shoes, $39.95. Looking for an Adidas fleece? I know that it's the off-season. Summer's coming. Doesn't mean you can't buy one to throw in the closet. They're 75% off. LSU fans out there, if you've got one in your life, 25% off all the apparel. I'm looking at T-shirts. I'm looking at fishing shirts. I'm looking at pullovers. I'm looking at jerseys, all that stuff, 25% off. And there's a huge tent out front that's got all kinds of great deals here at Red Stick Sports. We're on Essen. Come on by and see us. The sidewalk sale goes through tomorrow. You can get here today until 5 o'clock or tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You don't want to miss it. Youth athletes, LSU fans, just you want to get some activewear, it is all here at Red Stick Sports. It's their 44th annual sidewalk sale. Right here. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
We're here at Red Stick Sports, 44th Annual Sidewalk Sale. Fired up to be here on this Friday in the capital city. We're going to talk some LSU football. It is that time of the week. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com jumps aboard. Preston, how are you?
All right, what's going on, man? Thank you for talking to me on your day of, hopping out under the tent and buying $15 cleats or whatever.
There's incredible deals here to be had. So hopefully a lot of folks will cash in on that over the next 24 hours or so. I want to talk some quarterback play with you here, Preston, and we got to start obviously with Garrett Nussmeier. How would you categorize his play as a whole last season?
Oh, that's a good question. Overall, good, but I feel like that's not quite captures it. It was too volatile at times, right? He made some outstanding plays last year, showed you flashes of greatness, but there were also other times where he was too uncareful with the ball, particularly down the stretch of the season. I think in his first 6 games, I believe he only had 2 interceptions. So to finish the back half of the season with 10, that's highly concerning, particularly 3 against Texas A&M. There were also times last year where he was not good on the deep ball. In fact, I'll say times it wasn't until the very end of the year that he really started to hit that deep ball. And there were open receivers, granted, not the best deep threats in the world. That should be greatly improved this year. But you need to show some accuracy and consistency with that deep ball. So, I mean, overall, it was a pretty good season last year, but I'm not going to go out and say it was great or anything, but I think he's got the potential to be great.
How do you feel about his possibility of reaching that potential?
Well, he should have most of the tools in place. The one concern I would have is offensive line, because he's not going to be a guy who is buying you a ton of time with his legs and getting crafty with how he works the pocket. I mean, he's got mobility, but it's just average mobility. He's no Joe Burrow. He's certainly no Jaden Daniels. So that would be my one concern. But in terms of his receiving core and running back room, I think he's in pretty good shape. And with the offensive line, in terms of how many guys can be good, I mean, I think you've got a full two deep who you could convince me if he ends up the starter, like, okay, he's got a chance to be a pretty good SEC starter. So I do like the pieces he has in place here. And we all know about how that fifth-year bump at LSU has gone in recent years.
That's my next question. I mean, if you look at Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, you see one story. If you look at the odds to win the Heisman Trophy, Garrett Nussmeier's always in the top 3. I mean, how surprised would you be if he was in New York?
New York wouldn't catch me off guard. Now, him actually winning the whole thing, I'd still be a little, I mean, imagine catching lightning in a bottle like that 3 times. I mean, most programs, you know, you get a fifth-year bump like we saw out of Mettenberger in 2013, and they're ecstatic. I mean, when Mettenberger took that jump, LSU fans thought that was the rocket age. That was the greatest thing that could ever happen. And then Joe Burrow comes around, and then 4 years later, basically the same thing, the same level of offense comes again to LSU after a year of not so great on offense. So I think you got to manage your expectations. I think it's certainly plausible he'll be in New York, and he's certainly going to get some pretty good Heisman odds coming into the season. Don't be surprised if he's in the top 5 Heisman odds. I've even seen him as high as number 2. But, you know, I think to put that expectation on him, that's such a high bar to hit. So you mean to tell me if he doesn't make it to New York, it's a disappointing season? Like, I don't really see that being reasonable.
I agree completely. I think that if you're trying to make him exactly into Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, that's a lot to ask, especially when you consider what those guys are doing now on Sundays. What's more important to LSU's offense, the development of the running game or Garrett Nussmeier taking another step or 2 forward?
Running game for sure. For sure. Here's the deal. Nussmeier played well enough last year. I think that it's possible you could have won a national championship with the way he played last year. Now, granted, that's in this new era where you can lose 2 games and make the college football playoff too and then go get hot, because there were games he didn't play well enough to win that game. Certainly against Texas A&M, he didn't play well enough to win that football game. So, that, you know, but if his running game were more consistent last year, that offense would have taken off and been a lot more consistent, because he threw for 4,000 yards. I mean, he was certainly moving the ball with his right arm, but I think that the surrounding cast around him, he had no running game at times. And at times his receivers were either hurt or, you know, not being very effective, you know, and that held him back quite a bit. So I think if you were able to develop a running game and you could get exactly what you got out of Nussmeier last year, I think you've got a pretty good offense right there. And certainly one that's good enough to win a championship with the right defense.
Here's an April question for you, if we're just going to live in hypothetical land. If I let you make a 1-for-1 trade at quarterback and you could trade Garrett Nussmeier for anybody in the SEC, would you do it? I think your options are probably DJ Lagway, Arch Manning, Lenoris Sellers, Nico. I mean, would you make a trade if I let you do it?
Probably not. I mean, certainly once you account for the whole getting chemistry with the team and stuff like that, I don't think that there's a guy I would take over Nussmeier. And even if you ask me nationwide, I'm not so sure I could come up with a guy that I'm for sure would be better than Nussmeier. Particularly, I've talked to people in the space of trying to, you know, people who were responsible for helping Nussmeier come back to school this year. And there were people concerned he might go pro this year. And, you know, basically what I'm hearing from early draft projections is there's some NFL scouts who feel he's as high as the number 2 quarterback in this year's draft. And that's pretty impressive, especially when you start looking at these Heisman odds and, you know, who these projected draft boards. A lot of these guys have Arch Manning ahead of him. And look, I have nothing against Arch Manning, but we've seen him start 2 football games. One, he looked very average, middle of the road in. The other, he looked good. And I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't know if I don't know if I'm ready to declare him Peyton Manning quite yet. Especially having seen him in high school and the stuff he had didn't look, that overwhelmingly great to me from seeing him on the sideline. I mean, solid player, top 12 quarterback in the class, but I just didn't see number one, top recruit of all time.
We'll see. A lot of stuff on his shoulders there in Austin this coming football season. Lastly, here on the quarterback front, Michael Van Buren. How would you feel if he needed to start 2 games for LSU? I realize it depends on which ones they are, but just in theory.
Yeah, I mean, on paper coming in, great, because we're talking about a guy with starting SEC experience. I'm a little concerned about the reps I've seen from the quarterbacks this spring, and that's not limited to Van Buren, but also Nussmeier at times has struggled during spring. So I kind of want to chop it up to, okay, well, maybe that was a windy day, or maybe they're learning here or there, and also chop it up to we haven't gotten the best look at the team. They've really kind of limited us to very few ones-on-one, full-speed drills. It's been more like, one-on-one drills with the receivers and corners going out there, or 7-on-7 type stuff. So overall, I'd love to answer this question not next Friday, but the Friday after that, after we get a good open practice. Let's see if they give us some good reps to see in that open practice. It might be less than we even get in the spring game. It could be more, but overall, I would feel 10 times more comfortable if I saw more live action reps, 11-on-11, ones-on-one with Michael Van Buren in there, and show me what he can do.
We'll certainly preview that next week when we talk at this time. I know y'all got a lot going on at TigerBait.com right now as spring comes to a close. Let them know where they can find it all.
Oh, yeah. Look, guys, just check it out, TigerBait.com. That'll have a link to our YouTube page. We got, our baseball show is still rocking and rolling. We got Kendall Rogers and Mike Scarborough doing their thing once a week. That's good content. Baseball team continues to look pretty good this year. Cade Anderson, boy, can't say enough about him last night, right? So y'all come check us out, TigerBait.com. Well, anything we do anywhere else, like YouTube or whatever, we're going to post that on our TigerBait feed. So that's always a good place to just kind of get your Rolodex of where to find us.
We appreciate the help every Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week for the spring practice.
See you soon, Hunt.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. I think the point, and this is something that I'll probably harp on a good bit in July and certainly in August. Like, I have some questions with LSU's roster entering this 2025 season. There are some things that I kind of look at and go, quarterback's not one. And that's a really good place to start. There is so much turnover, so much upheaval, so much change in college football rosters year over year at this point. And that's the coach's job to kind of mesh that all together. And when you can start with, by pretty much every account's top 5 quarterback in the country, I don't think that's a stretch to call Garrett Nussmeier a top 5 returning quarterback in the country. When you can start there, it's a pretty good place to start, right? And that's going to be kind of the thing that I feel good about as we start to climb towards this football season in the fall. Yeah, I wish I knew more about the DBs. I wish I knew more about the defensive tackles. I wish I knew more about what the offensive line was going to look like. I wish I knew more about how they're going to run the ball. But there's a comfort in looking at the quarterback spot and going, we're pretty good there. And that's where LSU sits right this very second. So that's kind of where I am. That's our look at LSU football here for this day. We got a lot to do coming up over the next hour and a half. Still got to talk about LSU and Oklahoma, game 2 of that series coming up at 6:30 tonight, weather permitting. We'll talk to Koki Riley 30 minutes from right now. He's in Norman. Wrote a great story after the game last night about Cade Anderson's outing, Nate Yeske, and his day yesterday, unfortunately, tragically losing his dad. And then you've got to go to work and call a game. And Cade Anderson paid that off in a big way. So we'll talk to Koki coming up in 30 minutes. When we come back, we'll take a look at the Final Four cranking up tomorrow from San Antonio. That's next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Your buying experience at Genesis of Baton Rouge is going to be first class in every way. First, you walk on to the lot, you walk into the showroom, and you get the vibe. It's just incredible. It's a first-class facility. It's brand new. It's clean. The ambiance is great. The staff is so friendly and helpful. You'll feel like you're walking into a 5-star hotel when you walk into the showroom. They got this incredible coffee maker. maker, the snacks laid out, and their staff will make you feel like a guest, not a customer. You're not going to be aggressively upsold. You're not going to have 3 salesmen swarming you when you walk in. It's going to be relaxed. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be helpful. And then you'll get behind the wheel, and you'll see why Genesis is a luxury brand of vehicles. Phenomenal, all the way from the sedan through the SUV, from the entry level all the way to the highest end. When I say luxury, don't automatically go, I can't afford that. You might be surprised. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. Get on by and see them. Airline at Pico. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. You can find them online, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday editions of the Hunt Palmer Show, always brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. You're looking for some seafood. No better place to stop than Corks. They got your shrimp po' boy, catfish po' boy. They also got your platters, those crispy shoestring fries as well. And if you're looking for something a little bit different, how about their famous baked potato? It is fully topped with that crawfish etouffee. They put those jumbo Gulf shrimp on the top. It is real good over there at Corks. You're looking to tailgate at the box at some point in the coming weeks. You're trying to feed a family for a family reunion. You got folks coming over for the Easter holiday in a couple of weeks. You're trying to feed in bulk is what I'm trying to tell you. Get on by Corks. They can absolutely do it. They love to handle your catering orders. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson, and the menu is online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Man, all feels right in the world right now. I'm looking at the Cubbies at Wrigley Friday at 1:20. I think temps are in the high 40s right now in Chicago, so it doesn't feel like spring there, But it's spring here, and I got the Cubbies on, and I'm a happy dude. Part of the spring is the Final Four, and we'll see that tomorrow as two SEC teams will get going in the early game. It's Florida and Auburn, and then, of course, Houston and Duke. I got to tell you, some folks will tell you that it's boring to have all the one seeds in, that there hadn't been the upsets, that you'd rather have a lot more theatrics. I could not be more excited for these two games coming up tomorrow. I just think they're going to be absolute heavyweight battles, and I'll give you my picks, and I'll give you a reason why I have my picks. I can absolutely see the games going the other way. I think that all four of these teams are absolutely national championship good. And you may say, well, they're one seeds. Obviously, they're national championship good. Sometimes there's one team that's way better. And if there is one, it's probably Duke. But Duke's young, and they're going to face some old teams if they play two games in this Final Four. So I could not be more excited to watch it. We'll start breaking down Florida and Auburn. Florida's a 2.5-point choice in this game. What we know about Florida is they're not going to flinch if and when they get down 8 points. We've seen that now multiple times in this tournament. They turn to Walter Clayton. He's been a magician, and they're just not going to be put away easily. The thing I like about Florida in this matchup is that they can come at Janai Broome in waves. Most teams don't have multiple people that can physically guard Janai Broome. They do. They've got Alex Condon at 6'11". They've got Thomas Hall at 6'9". They've got Ruben Chinulu at 6'10". They've got Micah Handleton at 7'1". They can all take their turn on Janai Broome, who's awesome, and he's a handful for most teams in the front court. Florida can throw different guys at him. If somebody gets in foul trouble, yeah, that's not ideal, but you've got somebody else that can go out there and play against him. Florida has had the best offense in college basketball in the last month. They're shooting 58% on twos. They're shooting almost 40% on threes. It's incredibly efficient what they do. And then one of the X factors I just mentioned that you got to love with Florida, they've got Walter Clayton. And he just isn't going to budge. He isn't going to flinch. He wants to take the last shot. And in a Final Four that looks like it could come down to a possession or two here or there in every game that they play, having that guy on your team is a big deal. Now, this Auburn team, I don't want to disparage them. Like, you're talking about an Auburn team that lost one time between December 4th and March 4th. Once. Did you see that league? Did you see how good the SEC was? They lost one time over that stretch. Right now, they're not shooting it the way they need to. They're shooting 31% on threes in the NCAA tournament, which is not atrocious. It hasn't gotten them beat, but you need to shoot it a little bit better than that. This is something I say all the time. It's not the most hard-hitting analytics. It's not something that you dig up here to reveal that I'm going to say, and you're all going to go, what a great piece of information that is. But it's core in breaking down a basketball game. It's a shot-making and shot-missing sport. And you can create a great shot and miss it, and you can force a bad one and make it. And it all comes out in the percentages, and Auburn right now is not shooting it well enough. That has to change tomorrow. They cannot get by Florida by just being tough. You have to score. And Florida went into the jungle, went into, I guess, Neville Arena. I want to call it Auburn Arena. It's Neville Arena. They dusted Auburn in the regular season. Now, that doesn't mean everything for tomorrow's game, but it does. It's a data point. And I like Florida minus the 2.5 in this game. I do. Would not surprise me at all if Auburn won. I think Florida's a better team, so I'll take Florida and I'll lay the points. Then Houston and Duke. Two contrasting styles, two contrasting programs. I love it. Duke in this tournament beat Baylor by 23, scored 100 on Arizona, and beat Alabama by 20. And when I say they beat Arizona by scoring 100 and they beat Alabama by 20, those are two completely different things. They scored 100 on Arizona. They held Bama to 65. That is 0.9 points per possession. I know that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of you that are listening. 0.9 points per possession, what does that mean? Well, I'll tell you what it means. Alabama has been held under 0.9 points per possession twice in 2 years. 2 years. Twice it's happened. And Duke did that defensively in that game. So you look at Duke, I like Tyrese Proctor as an X factor. Everybody's going to talk about Cooper Flagg. Con Knippel is great. They've got size. I like Tyrese Proctor. He over the course of a 3-game stretch, Louisville, Mount St. Mary's, and Baylor made 23s. That is absurd. And he's a 41% three-point shooter. Houston is really good at collapsing their defense and forcing threes. And I think Proctor can be an X factor in doing that. Now, here's what I like about Houston. They are freaking old. They are old. They are grizzled. They are tough. They are physical. They're put together. And Duke's got some kids out there. There's some really talented kids, but Houston is going to push you around. Now, here's the difference because that's been the case now for 5 years. Houston's pushed teams around. What's the difference in this team? The difference in this team is that the last 7 years, Houston has not been in the top 110 in three-point shooting percentage. They have not been in the top 110 the last 7 years. They are second in the country this year. Kelvin Sampson finally took his defensive principles and a team that can handle that and can make buckets on the other end. This is his best shooting team. And that's why I like Houston plus the points here. I think this game comes down to the end. I think Duke wins it at the end, but I think Houston can cover the 5.5 because I think that they are more capable of keeping up with Duke point for point than they have been in the past. This Kelvin Sampson team of 2 years ago, of 4 years ago, would have had to try to hold Duke to 71 to win. This team doesn't have to do that. They could beat Duke 85-83. I don't think that's Kelvin Sampson's preference, but I do think it's a possibility, and it hasn't been a possibility previous to this. So I right now favor Florida laying the 2.5. I favor Houston catching the 5.5. I like Duke and Florida to win. If Auburn and Houston won, I wouldn't be surprised at all, and I would be just as excited to watch Auburn and Houston as I would be Florida and Duke. I think it's going to be a phenomenal Final Four. I think it's going to be very well attended, and I think that you're going to see some really, really high-level basketball, which I'm super excited about. Beck, I'll toss it to you here now that I've opined on this whole thing. Are you going to tell me I'm an idiot, or do you think I'm right on the money?
Well, I don't enjoy telling you you're right on the money, Hunt, but I do agree with you. I really do like Auburn's chances, but it's going to be tough, man. Like Florida is just I think I've said this a lot, that they're the deepest team in the tournament in terms of just 1 to 7 or 8. They have so many guys and they don't run out of guys. And Auburn is pretty deep as well, but if you can slow down Janai Broome and Baker Mazzara, like you can work with that. So I think Florida is going to win that game, and then with Duke and Houston, it's going to be can their style of play actually work against Duke? I don't think it can. I think Duke just has a better team. I think they have better. Cooper Flagg is obviously incredibly good, and it's going to overpower, I think, Houston. So I think it's Florida and Duke, and I think Florida wins it.
Here is I'll put myself out there. This is probably a Monday discussion as opposed to a Friday discussion because we'll see who plays in that game Monday night. But I hated Duke hiring the guy who sat next to Krzyzewski and North Carolina hiring the guy who sat next to Roy Williams. I hated it. You are the blue blood of the blue blood. It's Kansas, it's Kentucky, it's Duke, it's Carolina. I don't think Indiana is in that discussion right now. I don't think UCLA is in that discussion right now. I think those are great jobs. I think you can win championships there, but I don't put them in those 4 programs category right now. Right now, I think it's those 4. And to me, for them to not flex their muscles and go get somebody, I hated it. Well, Hubert Davis got Carolina to the final game in his first or second year. I don't remember if it was his first or his second. It doesn't matter. It was in one of the first 2 years he got him to the final game, and they've fallen off. Duke doesn't appear to have fallen off at all post-Krzyzewski. Shire appears to have that team and that program in great shape. And so that's where I'm wrong. I think that Hubert Davis's last year coaching North Carolina is going to be next year. I think he'll be fired after next year. I think John Shire feels like he's in position to keep the train rolling. Now, you don't always get Cooper Flagg. That's a big deal. But there's usually one or two that they can go get that can keep that thing afloat, and we'll see how well he can use the transfer portal. We talked yesterday about the fact they've got a starter on their team who played at Tulane. So this is a cool thing to me for John Shire to kind of cement himself atop Duke's program. I think he talked yesterday about how, a lot of times when a legend moves on or a coach moves on, they're not invested in the success of the program post them, kind of want to prop themselves up as opposed to just, having it continue on. And he seems to believe that Mike Krzyzewski really wants him to do very well, and I don't have any reason to not believe that. But I think that John Shire, this could mean a lot to him if he can win 2 more basketball games. That goes without saying, winning a championship, but I think it means even more just kind of stepping out of Mike Krzyzewski's shadow. So, hand up, I'm telling you, I thought it was a terrible hire or a lazy hire to me, but it could pay off big time in 3 days from right now. So we'll certainly see. LSU not in the Final Four this year. I don't know that they'll be there next year, but they're assembling a basketball team with some cash, and they did so they moved in that direction last night. We'll talk about the addition to them and what it means for the LSU basketball team next year. We'll do that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
We're here at Red Stick Sports for the 44th annual Sidewalk Sale. Incredible, incredible deals. Whether you've got a youth athlete in your house, whether there's an LSU fan in your house, maybe you are the LSU fan, you want to come by. The deals are unbelievable. 25% off all LSU apparel. Look, all Adidas and Under Armour workout apparel is 50% off. Shoes, some 20% off, all the way up to 75% off. Football cleats. I know it's springtime, but football will show up in the fall. Half off the football cleats that are here. If there's a youth football player in your household, get on by and see us and get you some half off football cleats. The deals are unbelievable, and they're going through tomorrow. It's a 3-day sale, started yesterday. If you can get here before 5 o'clock today, awesome. You can make that count. Tomorrow, open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's Red Stick Sports right here on Essen. Come on by and see us for the 44th annual Sidewalk Sale.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1 here. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. LSU basketball continues to reshape and retool its roster, and last night they made an addition from Portland. I told you after the first 3 additions out of the transfer portal, when they went and grabbed a big from Mississippi State, and then went and grabbed a point guard from UNLV, and went and grabbed a wing from Northeastern, and said, okay, this all makes sense. You need a big physical presence in the post to deal with SEC bigs. You've got to have a lead guard who can go out there and run the show. And then you need wings to defend and slash, and that's all important, and LSU is going to get some of that. But I told you, after those 3 additions, I said the next guy they get needs to be able to fill it up from 3. Fill it up from 3. Because in this day and age, it's possible to be a really good team without elite shooters, but you better rebound like crazy and defend like crazy like Michigan State does. And Michigan State got to the free throw line more than anybody in the country this year. Everybody else making threes. I just went through the Final Four. Florida's shooting threes at almost 40% in the tournament. Duke's got 3 of the best shooters in the country on their team. Houston's second in the nation in three-point percentage. And Auburn can shoot. I'm not telling you that this is the Final Four roster LSU's putting together. I'm just telling you these are some of the things you have to have. And LSU doesn't have that on this roster currently. And then they went and got Max McKinnon. Max McKinnon has been at Portland for a couple of years. And Max McKinnon is a 6'6" wing from Australia. Started his college career at Elon. And this past season at Portland, Mac McKinnon shot 41% from 3. Now, he did a lot more than that for Portland. He was their main scorer. It's a guy who did a lot of damage, driving, slashing, finishing at the rim at 6'6". But when given the opportunity to knock down shots from three-point range, he did so at a 41% clip. He had a game against San Diego where he was 7 of 9 from 3. He scored 43 points in that game. And he knocked down multiple threes in a lot of the games they played this year. He only shot 91 of them, which is not a huge number. I think he'll probably shoot more of them at LSU, and I also believe that he'll be asked to do less of the driving, slashing, and heavy lifting from an offensive perspective because I think LSU's got some of that. I think that you're going to see 2 of the additions that LSU made this year do a lot more driving. You're going to see, I think, McKinnon more often just be a floor spacer and a shooter that certainly has the ability to drive and at 6'6", finish at the rim. But he's going to be a sharpshooter. And sharpshooters do 2 things. One, they make threes. Surprise, surprise. That's the first thing they do. You make threes. But the second thing, which is every bit as important, is that just your presence out there changes the way that teams play defense. And while LSU had a lot of offensive flaws this year on the floor, when Cam Carter had the ball, you didn't have to go guard anybody else outside the three-point line. Like, Sears had some games where he made some shots, but not consistently. Givens was not a threat at all to shoot threes. Your bigs could not make threes. Collins and Miller were not threats at all in that way. You didn't, I mean, certainly Jai Bailey, not a threat to knock down 5 threes on you. So it makes defense easy. You just pack it in, stop the drive. It's pretty simple stuff. McKinnon, while he's not just purely a shooter, is a shooter. And that's going to change the way that teams play defense. And that was a critical add for Matt McMahon. Now they need to get another one. whether it's McKinnon's a wing, so he's a 2 or a 3. If you can ideally get a 4 that's got the touch to really make threes, not a guy that is going to make 4 a game, but that is absolutely capable of going 2 for 3 in a game from 3, that maybe comes off the bench, like that is another piece to this pie that you've got to have. I would love a back-to-the-basket scorer. I don't think they have that. I would love LSU to go find that. Maybe Robert Miller becomes that. Maybe Jalen Reed develops that part of his game. Right now I think he's more of an attack guy as opposed to a back-to-the-basket guy. But McKinnon is an ad that absolutely positively had to come, and it did. So you're talking about a skilled, old, shooting wing that you can plant out there in the corner or on the wing that teams have to respect, and then you've brought in a point guard in De'Don Thomas that is very capable of finding shooters like that. I think that's you're starting to see a reasonable roster composition. Now, for sure, I can be skeptical, and you are in every right to be skeptical of these smaller school players that LSU's bringing in, because you've seen that not translate more often than not in the McMahon era. But it has translated for the schools that have been really good. Tennessee's gotten mid-majors that have been great. Auburn's gotten mid-majors that have been great. Florida's gotten mid-majors that have been great. Talking about Duke right now has got a player from Tulane. You got to hope that these are the guys that you're getting. But certainly McKinnon brings a skill set, in theory, that should be really advantageous to LSU. So I'm excited about that ad. That's going to do it for our first hour here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're at Red Stick Sports. We'll come back with Koki Riley from Norman, Oklahoma, talking baseball on
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Auctioner, we know healing is
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Grizzly star John Moran fined $75,000 by the NBA after making finger gun gestures during the last 2 games. He was warned by the league about the gestures in between games. The NBA suspended Morant twice in 2023 due to brandishing a firearm on social media. Countdown continues toward tip-off for the women's Final Four. All starts with defending champ South Carolina versus Texas, followed by Connecticut and UCLA. The Bruins and Longhorns are underdogs tonight. Could either pull off the upset? ESPN college basketball analyst Carolyn Pack.
If one of the two, between UCLA and Texas, I think Texas, would have the highest potential to upset South Carolina, because they beat them earlier in the season, and South Carolina has a tendency to be inconsistent offensively.
Carolyn Pack on Joe and Q. Final Four coverage, 7 Eastern, ESPN and ESPN2. Auburn's Bruce Pearl and St. John's Rick Pitino will share AP Men's College Basketball Coach of the Year honors in the first ever tie for the award.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday as we get closer to the draft. I'll tell you what the perfect draft would look like for my Giants. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp, broadcasting from the 44th annual Sidewalk Sale here at Red Stick Sports. The deals are fantastic. I'm looking at a wall full of LSU shirts. They got the fishing shirts over here. Got some great logos on the fishing shirts. They got the LSU baseball cascading LSU. Then you got the outline of the state of Louisiana with the helmet stripe that runs through it. Also got the script shirt that's got the Tigers that goes on the baseball uniforms. All of it 25% off here at Red Stick Sports. So got an LSU fan in your life, or if you are an LSU fan, get on by and see these awesome deals at Red Stick Sports. Speaking of LSU, Koki Riley up in Norman, Oklahoma, covering the baseball team for the Advocate. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Friday. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Koki, how are you?
Doing well. How's it going?
Going quite nicely. What's the temp up there in Norman right now? Because it did not look like springtime on television last night.
Yeah, it's claims it's the 50s, but if you click on the little "What does it feel like" button on the weather app, it's more like 40s. So that's kind of the vibe here. It was pretty windy last night. The wind calmed down by the end of the night, but it was pretty windy, especially at the beginning of the game, and wet all around because it's been raining on and off for the last 2 days. So it's pretty nasty stuff out here, not going to lie.
We'll see how that works. I know you're well-versed in hanging out at the ballpark for extended hours during the baseball weekend. We'll see what happens up there. Obviously, last night, Cade Anderson was the story during the game. You started to ask some questions after the game, and obviously Nate Yeske came up and what he was dealing with yesterday with the loss of his father. Kind of walk us through that Q&A session. You talked to Jay, you talked to Cade, and obviously an emotional day for Nate Yeske yesterday.
Yeah, just a little insight. I was actually talking to Jared Jones because he was the first person I talked to as I was doing my post game interviews, and then in the corner of my eye, I saw Kate and Nate really embraced at that hug, and I even mentioned that in the story. And when I saw that in the corner of my eye, I could sort of see Kate getting pretty emotional while that was happening. So I just sort of clocked that before I talked to him next. As any decent reporter should. And then when I talked to Kate, I asked a few questions in. I asked what I asked about that moment, and then Kate just said that. And Nate's father unfortunately passed away on Thursday, so it's just another. It just adds another layer to this story of yesterday, and just how incredible it was from really all sides. Like Cade to bounce back and be as good as he was, to have the best performance probably of his life, and then his life so far, I should say. And then with Nate Yeske to call pitches and to really pull the string as many times as he did in that game with what he was going through too. It was a pretty remarkable night on a whole bunch of different levels.
I thought you captured it brilliantly in your story at the Advocate for today. It was great stuff, and obviously Kate Anderson had a lot of great stuff yesterday. I want your reaction first when he came back out for the 8th inning, and then from the press box when he came back out for the 9th inning.
Shock, surprise. I really didn't expect them to do that because, again, we're in early April. There's a lot of season left to be had, and I just felt like, did he have the juice to throw in the 8th and the 9th? Maybe, but did you want to do that, given that you still got a long season and you got your best relievers, I should say, all ready to go for this game? And, I mean, Zach Cowan was warming up at one point, so it's not like he wouldn't have been ready to come in at a moment's notice. It was surprising, especially on that front when, Cowan's also, it's also a pretty different pitcher, right? It's a right-hander. It's changeup dominant. Like it would have given them a different look. And I would have been I think if you're an LSU fan, you would have been really confident to win that game 2-0, even if you just put him in the game, but they didn't. They let it ride out with Cade, and I had that in my story, just Jay explaining why he decided to do that. And I think the getting the extra day of rest definitely helped with getting Cade up to 135 pitches. But man, like that is incredibly aggressive considering that it's SEC games are important, don't get me wrong, but this is the College World Series. This is to do that in a regular season game is a lot. So I thought it was really surprising.
Cade, we spoke with him after an outing early in the season where his line was great, but he didn't finish the 6th inning, and he was not real happy about that. I got to imagine last week he was even more disappointed, being that he really didn't have his best stuff and didn't get out of the 5th. What kind of bounce back was this for him, and how personally do you think he took how last week's outing ended?
I think, he talked about kind of how he just wanted to flush what happened last week. And I don't think last week was really about his stuff being that down or really any of that. It was about not leaving pitches right over the middle of the plate. And Cade's got really good stuff, but he's not someone who can necessarily leave a bunch of stuff over the plate and get away with it. His fastball is in the upper 90s. He doesn't have that crazy Paul Skeens slider that Paul had. But if he can sequence stuff and the way he can hide the ball, and given how many pitches that he can throw well, like if you can really do a good job of locating all that stuff, that's when he can get on a roll and look unhittable. And that's exactly what happened last night. And I think that the reason why he'd given home runs had been a bit of a bugaboo so far for him, right? Like 8 home runs and 7 starts before this week. And you didn't see any in this game. And I think it's pretty simply because, he wasn't leaving anything over the upper of the plate really at all. And when he's counting the strike zone while not, throwing it right down the middle, he becomes incredibly hard to hit, given how many things that he's good at as a pitcher.
He was fantastic in the ball game last night. LSU didn't exactly light up Kyson Witherspoon. I don't know if anybody's going to do that this year, but they certainly executed when they had to and pushed a couple of runs across. What did you make of LSU's offense last night?
I think it's interesting how Luis Hernandez is like much better in conference play than he is in non-conference play. 2 doubles in yesterday, both of them coming off Witherspoon. So I think like last night was kind of a good testament of how deep this lineup is, because the bottom 3 guys actually did better than the top 6 guys in this game. I mean, Stanfield missed the bunt sign at one point, but he still got the RBI hit. You got 2 doubles from Luis Hernandez. But the top 6 guys in the order had 3 hits combined. So I thought it was kind of interesting from that perspective. But really, overall, I think they did enough to work Witherspoon, get a run across. That 2-out hit from Jared Jones was absolutely huge. It was a 3-2 slider on the outer half, and he just did a really good job of just, taking not pulling the ball and just sort of taking it the other way in a 2-strike count. Like, that was really a beautiful piece of hitting from a guy who, the guy whose hit tool was kind of a question mark, not just heading into his freshman year, but heading into last season even too. And now, the way that, Jared can consistently put the ball in play now, to combine with his power is what makes him a really dangerous hitter. And I think you saw that on display last night.
We know now that Kason Evans and Zach Cowan can be counted on for 50 or 60 pitches if need be. Do you think with a win in the rearview mirror and those 2 guys very much available that the leash shortens up on Hyenson and or Shores over the next 2 days?
Potentially. I mean, obviously, depending on the score, depending how well these guys are throwing. And don't get me wrong, like, Hyenson and Shores have still got to keep them in the game at the very least through the first 4 or 5 innings that they're throwing. But, I mean, your bullpen's in better shape heading into these next 2 games than it's been all year heading into a back half of a series, because, of course, you get the complete game shutout. So, because of that, I could see, if Anthony's in trouble or Shores is in trouble early on, 3rd or 4th inning, then Jay could turn to his bullpen, could turn to Zach, could turn to Kason. Maybe he goes those 2 guys back to back on Saturday and Sunday if they can, keep their pitch counts low enough, because again, you kind of do have the extra day of rest or so, because next week's series is a Friday to Sunday. I think that's a good thing to remember heading into the next week. Gives rest for a little extra rest for everybody involved, including myself. So it's I think I don't think they should be afraid to go all out. These next 2 games for sure.
We'll see. We will be following along. Koki Riley up there in Norman covering the LSU baseball team. Tigers 8-2 at this point through 10 SEC games in a prime spot right now. Now an opportunity to take a series against a top 10 team on the road. They'll start things up tonight at 6:30. Koki, we appreciate the time. We'll be reading, and safe travels back to Baton Rouge.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
He's Koki Riley with the Baton Rouge Advocate. We're here at Red Stick Sports for their 44th annual Sidewalk Sale. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish, and Shrimp. Out on the schedule to talk Saints here. I'll pump that back to 2:30. Let's just stick with LSU baseball, and I'll tell you what I thought about the decision to leave Cade Anderson in the ballgame last night. I've given every single bit of this a look, and I'll give you my thoughts on it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
As I mentioned, we're here at Red Stick Sports, 5770 Essen Lane in Baton Rouge. It's the 44th annual Sidewalk Sale. The deals are absolutely unbelievable. Talking about bats and gloves, half off. That is far from insignificant. I picked up a bat a little bit earlier. Talking, it could be upwards of $350, $400. You get half off of that for a bat. That is absolutely worth it. Your Under Armour bags, $19.95. All Adidas fleeces, 75% off. There's deals wall to wall, literally, here at Red Stick Sports. So come on by. The big tent is out front. Got tons of shoes and bats out there. If you're looking for your Adidas and Under Armour workout apparel, half off of that as well. So come on by at Red Stick Sports here. We're on Essen Lane. If you can't make it today, 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock tomorrow is when the sale wraps up. It's the 44th annual sidewalk sale right here at Red Stick Sports.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Appreciate Koki Riley for giving us a little bit of time. Hopefully LSU baseball gets these next two in without too much of a hitch weather-wise, but it just looks like a nasty weekend up there in Norman. The highs are in the 50s. There's rain forecast for a lot of the weekend, so we'll just stay posted and see what the next couple of days brings for LSU and Oklahoma. But certainly last night, an incredible start to the weekend for LSU. I spent the first 15 minutes of the show today talking about how great that win was, how great Cade Anderson was, how well LSU executed offensively in a couple of innings off one of the toughest pitchers in the country, and just how great it is to watch LSU over the last 3 weeks really show they can win different kinds of games. You can beat aces, you can win slugfest, you can hit home runs, you can drop bunts down, you can win 2-1 and 2-0. You can win, I think it was like 18-7 was the final score of Game 3 against Mississippi State, and all that's fantastic. I got a ton of blowback on a tweet that I sent out during the game last night. And the tweet was very simple. It was not super detailed. It was not super opinionated. Just one little sentence I tweeted out in the 8th inning of the game when Cade Anderson went back out there. Don't love this many pitches. I did not send out fire the coach. I did not send out this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I did not send Cade Anderson's going to blow his elbow out. I did not send any of those things. I just said, don't love this many pitches. And I didn't. So before we get too deep into it, I just want to say that I've looked at this entire situation. I know that wins are really important and that Cade Anderson was pitching great and gave you a great chance to win. I know that LSU has an extra day of rest because this is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, and next week is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know that Cade Anderson had not lost a significant amount off his fastball, about a mile an hour or two, which is normal in the 8th or 9th inning. I know that LSU was going to take him out of the game if he gave up a base runner. I know that he retired the last 9 that he faced. I know that they were low-stress pitches because nobody was on base. I got all that. I also know some other things. I know that it was chilly. I know that it's April. I know that Cade Anderson last season as a freshman at LSU threw a total of 38 1/3 innings. He entered last night having thrown 38 1/3, the exact same number in this season. So last night he passed his entire innings total from 2024. And he's got a lot more innings on his plate. I know that Cade Anderson had Tommy John surgery 3 years ago. So all of these factors, to me, would suggest that 135 pitches is a really, really heavy workload. Again, it's not a terrible decision by Jay Johnson. It doesn't mean Cade Anderson's going to fizzle the rest of the way. I'm not even being that demonstrative in my take. I'm just saying, like, that's a little more than I would like to see. Now, I'm perfectly well aware. I get a lot of these comments, too. I'm going to trust Jay Johnson and not you. Well, obviously, Jay Johnson's the coach. It is, however, my job to analyze the team. That's why I'm here. I could just read the stat sheet off if you'd like that. I'm supposed to give you an opinion, and my opinion, which could be completely on point, could be completely wrong. I do both of those every day. My opinion is 135 pitches is a lot for Cade Anderson in April. I feel differently if we're talking about a College World Series game when it's 86 degrees outside and Paul Skeens at 6'6", 250 is throwing 122 pitches. Like, I'm okay with that. Cade Anderson, recent Tommy John guy, passing his season's innings total in a game in April when it's cold outside. I didn't love it. Hopefully, it's much ado about nothing. And Cade gets his extra day, and he's phenomenal the rest of the way. But my opinion is that's a little bit much. There's got to be a reason why we don't really see that anymore. I can't recall an LSU pitcher throwing 135 pitches since I've been down here and watching for the last 18 years. So, again, I'm not calling it completely egregious, which I would do if Cade Anderson came back on 2 days rest in the SEC tournament and threw another 90. I would fly off the handle. Like, that's in the arsenal. I can do that. This is not that. It's just, probably wouldn't have done that. But hopefully it's no big deal. That's the hope. But what it did do is set you up for the rest of the weekend to be in an incredible spot. You've got Zach Cowan ready to go. You've got Kason Evans ready to go. And those guys can either take the reins early in one of the next 2 games if you want to have a quick leash, or can slam the door late in the game with extended innings and can do it twice. You can have both of those guys ready to go on Friday and on Saturday, and that's awesome. Today, LSU is going to face Cade Crossland from Oklahoma. He's a left-hander, got a really nice, smooth delivery, got a fastball that's up to 95 miles an hour. It was last week when it was warm in Tuscaloosa. He's got a slurvy breaking ball, but he's not a guy that's been in the rotation a long time. He's actually been in the rotation for all of 1 week. They've had to shuffle some things. Kyson Witherspoon's twin brother was in the rotation. He's struggled. Cam Johnson couldn't throw it anywhere near the plate when they put him out there, so he's been demoted basically out of the rotation completely. So they've had to fill 2 spots in their rotation that Malachi Witherspoon and Cam Johnson couldn't hold down, and Cade Crossland has been the first guy they've promoted to that spot. LSU's seen a ton of left-handed pitching over the last 3 weeks, and so this will be another shot. You would imagine Michael Braswell will be in the lineup. You'd imagine that Ethan Fry's been in there against right-handers at this point, so he'll be in there as well. And it's probably not going to be another great day to hit. You're talking about a chilly day where the wind's probably going to be blowing in. You've got to offensively execute. Now, you've got a guy that doesn't strike out as many hitters in Crossland that Witherspoon does and shouldn't miss as many barrels as Witherspoon does. So I like LSU's matchup in this game from a starting pitching perspective. Ianson versus Crossland, from LSU's lineup versus Oklahoma's, and LSU's bullpen is locked and loaded. So I think that LSU's in a great spot in this game on Friday night, and that is a credit to Cade Anderson for getting to the finish line. And then, of course, Jay Johnson makes that decision. So here LSU is ready to rock in Game 2. So fired up for that. It's a 6:30 first pitch. You can listen on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Pregame will start at 6 o'clock. It's Bill Franquez and Chris Blair on the call. All right, I gave my thoughts on that, Beck. I'm curious yours, because I got ratioed like crazy on my tweet. I got people tweeting at me this morning that Jay Johnson knows more than me. Then I got a guy that told me that I was a hypocrite because I said to send Cade Anderson back out there when he had 95 pitches, but then said he threw too many pitches, which I think there's a bit of a difference in 95 and 135 to the tune of 40 pitches. So what do you think about sending Cade Anderson out there for 135 last night?
I'll be honest, I didn't get to watch the game. In fact, it was like 8:15, 8:20, 8:30. I don't remember what time it was. I'm like, let me go check what the LSU score is. And the game's already over. I'm like, what? The game ended in 2.5 hours. Wow, okay, it was 2-0. I checked the stat line and see pitch count 135, and I'm like, that's got to be a typo. 135 pitches. I don't know that I've seen that in recent memory. So it was quite jarring to see that, and obviously I agree with you that it was an incredible performance and he made it through. But I'm kind of with you. This is still very early in the season, and 135 pitches is just for anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, even if Paul Skeens 135. That's a lot of pitches for anyone, much less a guy like Cade Anderson who really hasn't thrown that many innings. Going back to last year and this year. So that is a lot early in the year. I mean, I think you're always going to have people, if they were to pull him in the after the 8th and send someone else out, probably Kason Evans or Zach Callen to finish the game in the 9th inning. There would have been people, you got to let him finish the complete game, and then there's people who don't care. So there's always going to be both sides of the coin. So I'm with you though, and after the 8th, I'm okay pulling him. He wasn't on a no hitter or a complete game or anything like that, so I'm okay pulling him after the 8th. And I think you stretching him out for 40 more pitches in the 9th was a bit much.
We'll see. I was just lambasted on the Twitterverse for that, but look, and again, I'm not going nuts here. I don't think it was some sort of miscarriage of justice. Just a little bit rich for my blood for 135 pitches, but that's the rearview mirror. Time now to go get Game 2, and we'll see Cade Anderson a week from tonight back home against, I believe, Auburn comes to town next weekend. But I honestly can't say that for certain. But we'll see next week when we see Cade Anderson once again. Cool news that I just saw on Twitter. I don't think it means a lot to the people here in Baton Rouge that are listening, but Chase Dolander, former Tennessee ace, who obviously LSU saw up there in Omaha. Well, he didn't pitch against LSU, but he was certainly there and pitching for Tennessee in some other games there. Was the ace of that great team 3 years ago. He just got his call up to the Colorado Rockies. With further proof, you're seeing guys in the SEC that are really, really close to the big leagues. They get up in less than 2 years in a lot of cases. And I think the two guys you saw last night, in Kyson Witherspoon and Cade Anderson, have got a chance to be big league pitchers in the next 3 years for sure. So cool for Chase Stolander to head up to the Rockies. Chris Bryant will be Chris doesn't play third anymore. I think he plays left field. He'll be on his team. I like Chris Bryant. He won a World Series and MVP with a different team that I like a lot. So let's come back and talk some Saints. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Bathrooms can be a hazardous spot, especially as folks age. If there's a loved one in your life who's aging a little bit but wants to stay home, mitigate some of that risk in the bathroom. You can't eliminate it, but you can try to mitigate it with some non-slip floors. You can do walk-in tubs that are more convenient and safer. You can do handrails around slippery areas. You can do a shower that's got a bench in it as well. All that stuff David Duvall and his team do all the time. Maybe it's not something that's for safety, maybe it's for aesthetics. They do vanities, can obviously do showers as well. It's One Bath and Closets. Get that free consultation online at onebathandclosets.com. They've got financing available, 0% up to 18 months, same as cash if you qualify. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets. Check them out at onebathandclosets.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. Get on by Corks. Get you that jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy fried catfish, shoestring fries. Get your po' boy, crawfish etouffee. It's all there at Corks. Awesome, awesome stuff. It's from the folks that brought you Kuyons across the river. Got that fairly new. It's not been there for 3 years, so not that new, but it's right there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. You can check out the menu at corksfishandshrimp.com. Appreciate them for making our Friday shows possible each and every week. The greatest combine performance in the history of the combine could be headed to the New Orleans Saints. Does that sound interesting to you? I didn't even realize that he had put together the greatest combine in the history of combines because I don't spend a ton of time paying attention to the combine. I know there are some of you football freaks that are all about it all the time. I think the combine's important. I know the draft is absolutely vital, and I like to assess the results when the time has come. I just don't grind it day to day, so I couldn't have told you that Nick Emenwari from South Carolina put together the greatest combine effort ever. This is from a tweet from @MathBomb. But it said he put together an unofficial 10 relative athletic score out of a possible 10. That's the best from 1,079 strong safeties that have done these tests from 1987 to 2025. Nick Emenwari, who came into the combine as a physical strong safety, not like rail thin, like this dude is put together. He ran a 4.38 40 at 220 pounds. 4.38 at 220 pounds. Then he jumped 43 inches. And then he had an 11-foot 6-inch broad jump. We know how much the Saints prioritize relative athletic score, and we hear it more often with the offensive linemen and defensive linemen. But if they're looking at it in terms of safeties as well, Nick Emenwari makes a lot of sense as somebody they would be very, very interested in. And it sounds like they brought him in for a visit. Now, we've talked about some different players, some different positions, and what makes sense for the Saints to do in this draft early on. And most of the time, I would look at a position, if the Saints want to draft a really good player there, I'm going, yep, that makes a lot of sense. And safety absolutely qualifies here. You're talking about a position where you've got Tyrann Mathieu, but he's 33 years old with 1 year left on his deal. You signed Justin Reed to come in and help. You've got Jordan Howden as well. But I'm thinking always about the next really good Saints team. I don't believe 2025 to be the next really good Saints team. I believe 2025 to be a mediocre to bad Saints team. I hope they prove me wrong, but that's what I think. So I don't really care how much Nick Emenwari helps this team. If you tell me he's got to come in and sit behind Justin Reed and Tyrann Mathieu, that's fine. I'm worried about the year after that, and more importantly, the year after that, when Tyrann is certainly not going to be with the Saints, and you've got potentially a really big physical playmaking safety who can fill his footsteps. I think Nick Emenwari would be a great pick if and when the Saints decided to take him. Don't know if that's something that you would have to look at 9, probably something you could look at more closely in the second round. You can never rule out Mickey Loomis making some kind of move up. I wouldn't necessarily endorse that, but this is a player that I think makes a lot of sense. He was a very, very good player at South Carolina and certainly has athletic traits that you absolutely cannot teach. I'm all for getting younger, more athletic, and cheaper, as you well know. Nick Emenwari makes a lot of sense from that perspective, and it sounds like there's some significant interest from the Saints there. Another place where the Saints are said to have interest, and a pick that I would really, really like, would be Tyler Warren, the tight end from Penn State. Now, that's a pick that you would have to make at 9. That's where you would have to go to get him. And you look at the Saints depth chart at tight end, and you understand that they've, made their bed with Juwan Johnson re-signing, and they've still got Foster Moreau under contract, and we'll see what Taysom Hill's future lays. But to me, I think Tyler Warren is as high a floor player as there maybe is in this draft. He's going to be big. He's going to run fast. He's going to catch the ball. We've seen some of these tight ends come in early, and honestly, probably the best comp for Tyler Warren is Brock Bowers. They were both incredibly dynamic college players that were the focal point of powerhouse offenses in elite conferences. And even though teams were making it a point to try to take them away, they couldn't do it. And I think that Tyler Warren probably has a similar impact in the NFL that you saw from Brock Bowers, who set the rookie tight end record. So, yeah, I'm all for that. And I don't really care if you've got to move Foster Moreau aside for the year, if Juwan Johnson's playing time gets cut into. Like, I'm not going to let that contract scare me from going to get what I deem to be a significant upgrade at the position. I didn't like the Juwan Johnson contract when you signed it, but that's done. So there's no fixing that. But there's no question in my mind that Tyler Warren is a significant upgrade from Juwan Johnson. I just think he's a much better player. So if the Saints were to go that direction, even though it's a deal where you look at the depth chart and go, well, how's he going to get to the field? Oh, he'll get to the field. He'll get to the field. And so while these visits continue to trickle out, what the Saints are going to do here, who are they visiting here, whose workout are they attending, who are they going to dinner with, you just kind of, keep your antenna up and see what shakes out. These two names I like a lot for very different reasons. Evan Worry just because he's a physical freak. Warren because his floor seems to be so very high. And I know that there are veterans at both of those spots, but again, I just don't really care. There's a veteran at running back, and Ashton Genty gets mocked to the Saints all the time. There are very few players on this team that I can think of who are in such good standing and at such a good place in their career and contract that you cannot draft someone at their spot that could potentially take over. I'm not necessarily in a hurry to take a left tackle because of Fuaga did. I'm not going to go draft a center. Those are probably two positions that I'm not looking to upgrade at directly, even though if you did take a tackle, you could move them to right. But that's probably about it. I don't mind you taking the next middle linebacker because DeMario Davis is getting up in age. I don't care if you take a running back. I don't care if you take the next Chris Olave. His future is in peril. I don't care if you take a tight end. I don't care if you take a safety. Pass rusher, all looks good to me. And as I assess these options, Eamon Worry's the high ceiling, Warren's the high floor. I think both make a ton of sense, and it sounds like the Saints are expressing some interest in both of those guys this year. So that's our look at the New Orleans Saints. You're looking for our Saints content. You can always find that at Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts, and, of course, on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. Subscribe to that channel. We certainly do appreciate that. For your LSU content, Hunt on LSU. I want to remind you this. I've said this a couple times over the last couple of weeks, but want to reiterate for those that haven't heard. If you download the 104.5 ESPN app, you can always listen to us live, and all of our stuff is on demand there, and that's great. But another thing that the 104.5 ESPN app can do for you right now is it's hooked to LouisianaSports.net, and you can get your notifications turned on, and we'll push important stories to you via notification. I promise it's not every story we write, not even close. It's not one a day. It's not even close. But like Damian Collins just jumped in the transfer portal for basketball. If you have the 104.5 ESPN app downloaded, you'll get that push. If there's a rain delay and you're planning on going out to an LSU baseball game and we get word that the game is delayed, sometimes we get that information pretty early, being that we carry the games on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Download the app. Make sure you get the push notifications so you'll know first and immediately when that delay happens. That's we think, a convenient thing, and I promise we're not spamming your inbox with stuff. This is stuff that we think you want to know. Football commitments, rain delays, coaching hires, that kind of thing is going to be pushed right to you. So download the 104.5 ESPN app and enable your notifications. We'll send you that from LouisianaSports.net. We have got one more break to go this week. We'll come back and wrap things up from Red Stick Sports next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Mention we're here at Red Stick Sports. It's their 44th annual sidewalk sale till 5 o'clock today, so about 2 more hours today, and then 9 to 2 o'clock tomorrow. The deals are incredible. LSU apparel, 25% off all over the place. They got quarter zips, fishing shirts, jerseys, long sleeve T-shirts, all that is available at 25% off. If you've got a youth athlete in your house, want to buy some football cleats for the fall, half off. It's still baseball season for you. You want to grab any of your baseball bats and gloves, half off. Shoes, 20 to 75% off. All Adidas and Under Armour workout apparel, half off here at Red Stick Sports. Right here, 5770 Essen Lane. Come on by today until 5 o'clock or tomorrow, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's the 44th annual sidewalk sale right here at Red Stick Sports.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Parrish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Wrapping things up here from Red Stick Sports. Just got news, and I mentioned it there in the last segment. Damian Collins, guess now former LSU forward, has entered his name into the transfer portal. You know, Collins has had a winding road. Was a McDonald's All-American, 5-star recruit that signed with John Calipari at Kentucky. Didn't get on the floor much for a couple seasons in Lexington. Had a personal loss that he struggled to deal with a little bit. Came to LSU, got hurt on multiple occasions, missed most of the year last season, and then this past season dealt with a shoulder injury all year, and I thought gave LSU an admirable amount of minutes. He is what he is. He's very athletic. He's tall and long. He's not a physical presence. He just doesn't have a lot of meat on the frame. And he's not a very skilled player in terms of putting the ball on the floor, knocking down shots. He's kind of a jumping jack around the rim. So he's certainly got basketball in his future. I think he's going to be a professional basketball player overseas someday. But not a guy that I think LSU is going to sweat too badly moving out. You've got a front court now in Woku coming in from Mississippi State. He's your big physical presence. You've got Jalen Reed coming back, who you think is going to be an offensive force for you if healthy. You got Robert Miller, who is coming in that, he's been here, is just going to be a sophomore next year, who, is skilled, was a 4-star recruit. He's got to put some pounds on that frame and develop a little bit, but you hope that he can certainly do that. And then you bring in a big in this class as well. That's a top 75 player in the country. So you've got some front court depth. I think LSU would like to add one more offensive piece to the front court, but Damian Collins, you certainly wish him well, and you appreciate the grittiness he showed to play through some injury this year. But we'll see where he ends up. Maybe back at with Cal at Arkansas. Kind of doubt it. We'll see where Damian Collins ends up, but he has entered the transfer portal. I talked a little earlier on the show today about LSU's most recent addition from the transfer portal in Max McGimmon. He is a 6'6" wing that can really shoot it, can really score, and played at Portland the last couple of seasons. If you want to hear that, you can at the end of hour number 1. If you missed any of the show today, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. Open the show today talking LSU and Oklahoma. Huge win for the Tigers last night behind Cade Anderson. Preston Guy talking Garrett Nussmeier and some LSU football. Broke down the Final Four as well. Koki Riley joined us in the second hour from Norman, Oklahoma, where he's covering LSU and the Sooners. Talk some Saints as well, and I gave you my thoughts on Cade Anderson, so you can catch that wherever you find your sound. There's only one more order of business here, and that is, of course, to play some Take It or Leave It on this Friday.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
Alrighty, first one here. Hunt, sources are saying that the PGA Tour rejected the PIF's recent offer to invest $1.5 billion as they're trying to join forces here with PGA Tour and LIV. PGA rejected it because the stipulation was that LIV would continue and remain intact. The PGA rejecting the offer. Take it or leave it.
Take it.
I'll take it.
Tell them to get out of town. This is very similar, I think, to Nick Mingione and Kentucky just running the clock out on Texas A&M last week. These 3-year contracts that a lot of these LIV guys signed for the cash are about to run out. And I think the guys that matter, the Brooks Koepkas of the world, got their cash and would rather come back and play in real golf tournaments as opposed to playing in front of nobody. And I think that the guys that they signed, like Ian Poulter or Henrik Stenson or Phil Mickelson or some of those guys, are no longer relevant in the game of golf and don't matter. So the PGA Tour doesn't care about those guys. So if you can get Brooks Koepka and Joaquin Niemann or whoever to come back, Bryson DeChambeau as well, because their contract runs out and then they can come on back. I don't know how well that works, but it's one tactic I think they're using, and I'm all for it. Just let LIV, quote-unquote, wither on the vine until the guys realize how stupid it is and they'll come back. So, yeah, I'm all for it. Don't give them an inch. They're operating out of a position, I believe, of weakness.
All right, next one here. AP Coach of the Year in men's basketball. The honor was shared by Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino, a co-coach of the year award. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Because they obviously put it to a vote, and the vote literally tied. That's never happened before, and it happened this time around. So, yeah, I mean, both guys were awesome. St. John's hasn't been all that relevant in my life since, like, Ron Artest was there, and Rick Pitino got him to a 2 seed. So that's incredible work by him. And, you know, Bruce Pearl has built an incredible program at Auburn. I vividly remember that first SEC tournament run that his team went on. It was either in I think it was year 2 that he was there, and they went on a tournament run to like Saturday or even Sunday with a team that wasn't very good. I remember him going into an auditorium at Auburn, painted, trying to get people to come to games, and he's built one of the most intimidating home environments in the country, and a team that can win a national championship. It's his Final Four, and they're second Final Four, and they're very, very good. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I think both those guys are great, great coaches.
All right, last one here. The Cubs, as you mentioned, are playing right now in the 6th inning. Shota Imanaga, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 4 hits, 1 strikeout. He's been really good so far. Shota in the running for the Cy Young. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that.
Leave it alone.
I haven't watched every pitch. You'll be real disappointed to hear this back. My laptop died about 10 minutes ago. So
I'm not disappointed. I'm just not surprised.
But I got a text that said they're hitting them all over the place, but the wind's blowing in and it's cold, so nothing's going anywhere, which makes a lot of sense. It's April in Wrigley. It's probably 44 degrees, and the wind's howling in. But, hey, in that instance, like last night in Norman,
throw strikes.
Throw it over the plate, see how far they can hit it. Probably not very far.
That's it.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It. I do want to remind you one last time about Red Stick Sports and their annual sidewalk sale. This is the 44th, and if you haven't been, I just highly recommend you come check it out. The savings are unbelievable. You're talking about half off of all gloves and bats. I know that there's a lot of youth football players, and that gear can be rather expensive. You want to get some football cleats right now for the fall, you can come in and get them for half off. All shoes, 20 to 75% off. LSU apparel, 25% off. I'm looking at a wall right now. It's got all kind of LSU stuff all over it. If you've got an LSU fan in your life, or you're an LSU fan, come check out Red Stick Sports on Essen Lane right here at 5770 Essen. We always appreciate them for having us out each and every year. So come on by and see them. The sale tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's good. Excuse me. That's going to do it for us here on this Friday. If you missed any of the show, catch it on demand. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further View. We're back Monday, same time, same place for the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team are phenomenal to work with, and that's not necessarily the case with every insurance broker that you interact with. I did it for 7 years. I know how it works, and you don't often get positive Google reviews for your insurance broker. But if you go to the Highland Insurance Group on Google, you'll see more than 100 positive reviews because they're phenomenal to work with. They take customer service very, very seriously, and they're experts in terms of policy language. Far too often, in my opinion, and certainly that of Highland Insurance Group, you've got a broker that'll come and say, hey, bet you I can save you a couple bucks here, and they may cut off some important things there or may do something incorrectly to get you some savings that are illegitimate. That's never going to happen to you with the Highland Insurance Group. They're going to make sure that your business is put in position to maintain its stability if there's an event that happens. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.